of an environmental scientist on the floor. The tree huggers. Angelita police.
What is
Angelita police, like there's like, yeah. Okay, so, alright. Well, that makes it nice, so I can lie to you guys. So, just kidding. So, maybe just, you guys can tell me what you know about climate change. Like, just anything, like, if I say climate change, what comes into your mind? Like, climate change.
Floods.
Floods, yes.
Hunger.
Pakistan. Yes. You're pretty empty.
Okay.
Yes.
I think COP27.
You know, like you're supposed to. She knows these things. She knows these things.
The increase in temperature and bushfires in Europe.
In Europe and here actually, we've had instances where we've got like a lot of wildfires, especially in the southern region. We've got like the driest areas, and it's actually an issue now. So yeah, so you guys know about climate change, which is a good thing. So I can't lie, Now I have to really, try and step out the facts as they are. So climate change, I don't really like calling it climate change. I prefer to call it the climate crisis because that's what it is. It's not just about the change anymore. It's about, it's really here. Did you guys watch the movie Don't Look Up? Don't Look Up? Oh. I'd like to recommend on Netflix. It's Don't Look Up. It's Don't Look Up. It literally talks about how people turn a blind eye to these things and just, especially if a scientist is saying them, people think it's far-fetched, or we're here to be preachers of doom and scare people and things like that. So in the movie, people literally turn a blind eye to a meteorite that's coming to crash down Earth and everyone dies. That's how it ends. So it's not one of those good ending movies. It's like, oh shit, that happened. So yeah, so I'm recommending that because it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the climate change crisis. So, but so like I was saying, I prefer to call it the climate crisis because if I say climate change, over the years, for the past billions of years, climate change has been happening. If you go down to what we call paleoclimatology, where people do studies into pre-existing or pre-modern era climates, they'll tell you that we have gone at least through 45 climate change eras, where most of them result in extinctions and stuff like that. So this has happened for millions of years. So climate change isn't a new thing. It's been happening, it's expected to happen. But what we're experiencing now in this era is climate change that is being accelerated and enhanced due to what we call anthropogenic activities, our human activities. So it's climate change due mainly to global warming. You guys know about global warming. You mentioned temperatures. So it's climate change mainly due to what? To global warming. So I wanted to show you briefly like what I mean. These guys are cramping my style. Alright, so I wanted to show you like what I mean when we talk about global warming and how we're contributing to it, and like just a brief like to get a bit sciencey on the things. Right, I would love to show you, but I'll show you when it comes up. So what is the climate change that we're experiencing now? Since 1850, the era that we're experiencing, the climate change era that we're experiencing now is from 1850, where the first signs were the retreats, the glacial retreat. When I say glacial retreat, I'm talking about melting of the glaciers in the northern hemisphere. The ice, yeah, glaciers like those big ice, those ones that sunk the Titanic, but bigger. So we've been experiencing glacial retreat where we've seen an increase in sea level. In sea levels, we've seen an increase in the release, because those glaciers, what they do is they trap gases in them. So when they melt away, they release a lot of gases. There's what is called the peat bogs. They release methane. They release huge amounts of carbon dioxide. Things like that. So with the glacial retreats, we've seen an increase in the amount of greenhouse gases. When I talk about greenhouse gases, I'm talking about gases that you've got a heat trapping effect. So naturally, that is not a bad thing, right? It is what keeps us alive. The greenhouse effect is what keeps us alive. Is like what makes Earth a habitable planet, right? So naturally, the Earth can handle, the atmosphere can handle, like the heat comes in, it goes out, it doesn't get trapped, some gets reflected back, things like that. But the more we increase, it becomes like a blanket layer around our air, like in the troposphere. And that blanket layer, the more we release gases into it, it gets thicker and thicker. So imagine you're on your bed, you've got just a blanket to keep you warm. You know, it's like last week, or just a few days ago when it was getting coldish. So you just have your like, you know, blanket, and then someone comes and adds on another blanket, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, I can take that. And someone comes with that blanket, now you're in there, you're sweating. It's a good thing that you're warm, like when you're warm, but it becomes a bad thing when you're now sweating and literally having nightmares because of the, you know, nightmares, some things because high temperatures at night. So naturally, like I'm saying, the greenhouse effect is a good thing, it's what keeps us alive. But what has become a terrible thing is us increasing those greenhouse gases. So how are we increasing those greenhouse gases? How are we increasing? When I talk of greenhouse gases, I'm talking about methane, the carbon dioxide, the nitrogen dioxides, and etc. How do you think we're increasing those in the atmosphere? Car emissions. You know, like how you get people that stay in the same house. Of course, you know, it's kind of like a, you know, thing where each and every one of us in the house is getting a car. So your mom's gonna have a car, your dad's gonna have a car, you're gonna have a car, your sisters and brothers. And now you get like maybe 5 cars in the same yard. You're all going to town for work, and you all maybe knock off at 4, where you could have just coupled and, you know, just use one car and everyone drops everyone off and then you take, but everyone wants to drive. It's kind of good to drive. I mean, especially in Nigeria, it's kind of convenient to have your own car because of transport modes. But then those are some of the things that we're doing. It's not smart for us to be doing those things. And then another way is the banning of fossil fuels. Okay, so like fossil fuels are literally a carbon sink. It was nature's way of keeping excess carbon, like storing it. So it was like, okay, Mother Earth was like, I'm gonna keep this underground, I'm gonna keep this under ribs. You guys walk on top of it, it's not affecting anyone. And then what does the Industrial Revolution do? Come with our big machines, we develop these big machines, and we literally bringing what was stored and kept back to the surface. And in doing that, we have destroyed the carbon sink, you know, and we've brought in excess carbon into air. So now Earth can deal with the excess carbon, and to add on to that, we are banning it. And so it's like the carbon sink balance has been disrupted, you know. So we're getting more that's going into the atmosphere or into air and stuff than more that is being sunk and kept. So that's another way that we have disrupted the balance of things. I think humans have got a very good talent of just disrupting things. I don't know, it's just us. You know, you get to a place that, like I've got an issue with people that build on wetlands. I'm sorry if you've got a stand or a house on wetlands, but I have an issue with that because wetlands are literally what kidneys are to our bodies. You know what kidneys do to our bodies? They clean up the blood. You know, those things that could be toxic if they're in excess. You know, like everything becomes a toxic if it's in excess. So the kidney works to regulate that. That's what kidneys. That's what wetlands do for the environment. But what are we doing now? We're going to those wetlands because we can afford it. We're draining out the wetlands and we're building it. So where are the toxins in the environment going now? You know. So we're literally poisoning our own environment. So now you tend to see if you go around areas that are built around wetlands, and you go around the environment that isn't being built on wetlands, you'll find either there's dying trees or there's dying animals and stuff like that, because the areas around are becoming now quite poisoned by because naturally there are toxins that are naturally in the environment. So that's why I'm saying humans, we've got a way of disrupting things. We're so good at it. We're really good at it. Like 5-star disruptors, something like that. So, wait, I was getting derailed. Back to climate change. There's another way that we've introduced this excess gases into this, what I was saying, disrupting the carbon sink balance. And so that's basically what is causing it, right? So now, what are the effects of this climate change? What are the effects of climate change? What can you think of? I mentioned droughts there. Ms. Chindia mentioned Pakistan. Pakistan is actually sad because something, if you go on the news today, something that you're probably going to see. I think they've been facing what they're calling the monsoon floods. They're saying it's as a result of which monsoons are usually prevalent in Asia. You know, largely in parts of Asia, because Pakistan is kind of like close to Asia in a way, but previously they would never experience those large monsoon floods. But now because of climate change, so the thing you realize with climate change is that things that wouldn't previously occur normally here will start occurring. Like you get health-wise, you get areas that previously never had malaria because maybe they were cold and etc. Now they'll start having malaria because there's an increase in temperatures and mosquitoes thrive in that kind of environment. And there's a very, I think it's a far-fetched conspiracy theory that is going around in the climate world where they're saying with the melting away of the glaciers, you find there were viruses or some contaminants that were previously trapped that are getting released. Yeah, you had that one. Yeah, so they're getting released. So now, you know, for example, COVID, like that was a very weird virus. So you find out now we're going to experience a lot more pandemics. You know, some that we don't even know, like modern medicine or modern scientists can't even understand because they existed like some million years ago. And maybe that's what killed those Neanderthal people. You don't know, but now they're getting re-emitted and re-released, and we're getting re-exposed to things that we don't understand. That's why we're finding maybe things that are now maybe resistant to whatever medicines that we have and stuff like that. So it's when you look at climate change, you shouldn't just focus maybe on things that we can physically see in the environment. It's going even further than that. You find still One Health as well. You find there's going to be a lot of cases where people are going to get the heat strokes, or because of malnutrition, because of droughts, and etc. So those are some of the effects that I can think of without looking at my presentation. Where's my presentation, guys? Tanya, where's my presentation?
Okay, help is coming. We're trying to connect with our phones, but it's not working.
Oh, you're done?
Okay, so those are some of the effects that I can think of it as a result of climate change. So now, what to do? Because now we know what's causing it, we know the effects, and we know how we've contributed to climate change. So now, what can we do? Because climate change is already here, like I said, it's already a crisis. There's no way we can say we need to prevent it. You know, it's not a COVID where you can say put on your mask and then maybe it might go away because of reduced weight prevalence and stuff. It's not going away. It's already underway, so it can only get worse from now. So what do we do? You know, what can we do? Like, what solutions can we have when it comes to climate change? So there's two ways in which we can approach climate change. There's what is called climate change mitigation, and climate change adaptation. Okay? So when we talk of mitigation, we're referring to actions to reduce emissions into the environment. Like we already know, like we've already messed up, and already it's too late. We can't take back what we've already given out. It's done. And so what can we do? The thing that we can do now is to reduce our emissions. So how can we reduce our emissions? What Ms. Chindia was saying, the coupling thing I was talking about, and where you try and avoid the term for it. It's in my presentation. But anyway, where you try to have, it's called smart urban transport, right? Where use a Zoom call. I know maybe, some people are not comfortable with using a Zoom call. I know there's like, scramble to get into the Zoom call, the queues. It's not as efficient as we want, but if you go to the first world countries, you find very few people actually drive to work. You'll find most people are cycling to work. Actually can ride a bike. So I was thinking, what if I go to some first world country? I'm going to do it. So, you find people are riding their bike to work. People use metro buses. People in South Africa, there's what is called cow train or something. Yeah, they use their system is efficient, so they are able to use those efficiently. So unfortunately for us, we're not yet there. So we want to have our own car. But those are some of the things we should be looking into getting to. And then there is what is called silt buildings. An example of a silt. We have one in Harare, a silt building, Eastgate, right? It's buildings that are built on the science of biomimicry, where the building is not in the sense that it was designed in a way that it's self-cooling. If it's hot, it self-cools. If it's cold, it won't be cold inside. It will be warm. It's so in that sense, you find they use less energy and etc. So Eastgate is one. Remember, at some point, Eastgate was, I think it was number 3 building in the world. That was like a smart building, something like that. So at least we've done that in Zimbabwe, which is a good thing. So this is possible. And what you can do in your homes, I'm currently based in Bainbridge. So what those guys are doing, because the place is hot. If you've ever been to Bainbridge, the place is hot, and there's like they experience a lot of sun. They are literally roofing. Okay, the rich they can afford it. They're roofing their houses using solar panels. So you find they're not even connected to the grid. They don't even need electricity for anything. They literally use the sun for whatever. And some of them have even gone to the extent where they have their own water supply and they're usually off the grid. So you can do what is called retrofitting on already existing buildings instead of building something from scratch. You can do what is called retrofitting to create those smart buildings. And then there's something that I call the rain gardens and etc. So that's a way we can mitigate our emissions into the atmosphere. And then with adaptation now, we're saying we're already living in the era of climate change. So how can we best make our lives comfortable? How can we continue to live here and improve our life in spite of this that is going on, right? So this can be with adaptation. It can be done in that when you start realizing, okay, now there are more floods. So what am I going to do? Maybe you start building buildings that can withstand floods, And then you say, okay, maybe previously I was a farmer and I would grow my maize maybe from January to December, but now maybe the rains have changed. So how can I do that? Now you have to find a way of maybe integrating pastoralism with the actual crop, whatever, and etc. So it's trying to find ways to adapt to the changing situation so that we're not rigid. Because if we're rigid, especially with climate change, there's no way we're going to survive. You go to Musha and you're always like, accept Kganya, so that's why we have started tilling the farm or something. You're like, no, but it rained last month. No, like maybe it rained 3 months ago. The past 3 months have been raining. Why didn't you start, growing your crops there? No, like, no, we grow our crops from December and etc. You're like, no, but times are changing. So it goes into, as well, education and getting people to understand, no, it's not normal. Okay, she just hit the fact, like, it's not normal anymore. But this is the time to think of innovative ways to if you start up something, brings you money, and you can develop a project that's actually something that's going to take us to the next level of adapting to climate change. So that's where the opportunity is coming in. I'll take me for example. I'm an environmental management consultant. So what we do is we give advice on how to maybe environmental sustainability or how to environmental social corporate governance to corporates and stuff like that. So we try and come up with the best way for a business to continue being profitable whilst being environmentally sustainable, right? So this kind of an opportunity that I saw. I graduated in 2019, and then I was unemployed for a year because you know how it's like the same. So I was like, you know what can I do? You're already educated. I mean, some of you maybe are still studying. Some of you have got some qualification in play. So find a way to use your qualification to feed into this care. So I was like, okay, I already have this degree in environmental science, and I'm sitting because I'm waiting to get employed. So what can I do? And then I was like, you know what, I can register to be a consultant with Emma. And people were discouraging because they were like, you know what, for you to be an environmental consultant, maybe you need to have worked in the industry for a long time. It's a niche industry, so you find there's already gatekeepers in it. You're like, go to a client, they're like, who do you know? Who do you work with and stuff? And you're just starting up, you know. So you're just like still trying to build up your name and etc. So, but I still went for it. It was like, what do I lose anyway? You know, what do I lose? And it's something that I'm passionate about, so I might as well go for it and do it. And then I registered, and it's been one thing that has opened up like opportunities and doors for me, because I chose to, you know, I mean, just not sit back. This is a gap that is there. People don't know about environmental sustainability, and people are trying to go green economy and stuff. I've learned that in school. It's really just using words and advising people. So why don't I go for it? And I went for it. So it's with climate change, there's always the room for a lot of opportunities. You get people that say, we've got a lot of waste. What can we do about it? We've got our own situation in Harare. We don't even have an engineer and landfill. So what do we do with all the waste that is being produced in Harare? You know, so you come up with a way of being a person that maybe deals with environmental management and stuff like that. So that's where the opportunity is. So yeah, that's briefly what I had. Unfortunately, I couldn't share with you what I had prepared due to technical challenges. So yeah, thank you so much. Any questions?
Very great presentations. I always say climate change education is not done way enough times, because these are things we really only see on the internet and read about. My question for you today is, a lot of time the negative effects of climate change come from the factories, carbon dioxide emissions, but what can the everyday individual like me, who already uses a Zuko, do to mitigate climate change? Is there anything I can do, or this is now something that is left to the consultants and the CSR?
Okay, all right. Thank you for that one. So each and every one of us can play an action in climate change. Like the effects that I touched on, I just touched on those big ones. So like, Alright, so I was just saying, each and every one of us can play a role in the mitigation of climate change. So what you need to do is to identify and like what is really the issue in your particular area, because you find out most areas are experiencing different effects of climate change. If you go to Kganya today, the effects of climate change that they're experiencing is different from the one that Harare is experiencing. Harare will have an issue of maybe water as a result of drought. No, Harare is mainly water as a result of pollution, right? But then let's just say it's water as a result of drought. So their mitigation strategy and the communities around are doing something different. So you, as an individual today, maybe you can start by simple one, avoiding using, being smart in terms of your transportation and etc. And then the second one is the waste management one, because with what happens with waste is it already limits the few resources that we still have that climate change isn't taken away from us. So with waste management, where you recycle, you're also limiting the energy that is used to come up with something that is entirely new. So with recycling, you're already taking the energy use, the use of land that could actually be used for other things, and etc. And another one that could actually be of this one. Okay, some people say this one's a bit unethical, but it works in other countries where they actually have the refining material, where people have built their own septic systems at home, and they use natural gas to actually power for cooking and etc. Because in our setup, I don't know like if we're there yet, because in those countries they've have got specialized mechanisms that refine the natural gas before it can be brought into the homes. Another way, another simple thing that you can do is educate other people. In as much as climate change has been overseen, I feel like it's misunderstood, and a lot of people really don't care about it. And like climate change, they're like, yeah, it's just a way to get funding. There's just something that people say to sound, up to speed with what's happening in the world, or it's something that people easily ignore. Like I think it's because it's been overseen. I don't know why, but people just don't really give it much attention. So please go watch Don't Look Up. That movie is gonna change your life. Don't look up, right? So, with education, like the little information that I've shared, the little information that you hear, educate other people, and I feel like the more people understand climate change and what it really means and the dire consequences of it, then we'll just generally have a better way of adapting. Even if new technologies are coming up, people will be more accepting because they understand, what we're dealing with a ticking time bomb. So yeah, those are the few things that I can think of. I hope I answered you.
It is.
Any more questions? No?
Thank you so much.